All right, so we've got another special guest on with us. So we heard earlier from Mo, the police officer, and Pastor Stephen. And so without further ado, we have Miss Hutchins.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sam, and let's see, background. I am from Michigan. Came here for school to Buffalo from the country of country. Lots of dirt roads and zero diversity. Went to school with one black kid for about a month, and then he left. So we didn't think anything of it. You know, it wasn't good, it wasn't bad, it was the way it was. Grew up and then started playing sports, had an opportunity to go play basketball. That took me to South Carolina first. And there starts a story of opening eyes. So in a position to play basketball in South Carolina, super naive, but also very curious because I love people. So I'm going to ask questions because that's how I learned. I was ignorant to a lot of stuff, but I didn't understand how, of course, you see color, right? We would lie if we said we didn't, but that's what makes life beautiful. Like, I'm not mad that you're not the same as me, and I'm happy with who I am, but we can still be friends. I don't know. Like, I don't know why that's a problem to some people sometimes, but it is, right? And I learned that. And, you know, you learn a lot the more you're around, and then you see, and then you form your own opinion. So I wouldn't say I was raised with, like, racist views. We didn't talk about it. Funny story. So I'll say that, but I'll also say I believe that it didn't become an issue until it hit to my house, right? So my dad was not happy, right? So my parents, unfortunately, were going through a divorce. At the time I started dating my husband, and he was my friend. I started talking about him a lot, right? And then there were it was the first time I ever hung up on my dad. I am the rule follower, the oldest, and I was leading the way for my siblings, my sisters, and he did not agree, right? So it was either time for me to step up and stand up for what I thought was right, and couldn't understand why he didn't agree. But I was usually the one that didn't do that because I would want to make him happy because I'm complete. So, long story short, I didn't know if he was coming to our wedding. Wow. And he did. And my husband never thought twice, loved him, still the same. He never did anything personal against him, but he knew how he felt, right? So with that being said, then we knew other family members felt the same way, but that's it kind of goes with the territory, unfortunately, with no excuse though, right? So after we've been married now this month for 21 years. And
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
But you know what? It's God. And so that's the difference, right? So when you put your hope in something and you have someone that leads the way and you work together, we laugh a lot, right? Because society's crazy, and now we know it's even crazier. But you laugh a lot, and so you have to get through things the way that you get through them, but you get through it. So, and I believe that I was put in this position for so many other reasons, put in the position of being married to a black man, right? For other people though too. Because I have so many people, it's so crazy. I have so many people that have messaged me through this. How are you doing? I'm like, how am I doing? Like, what? Like, I'm good, like maybe, but it's out of a good heart, they don't know what to say, what to do. They know I'm affected by it, of course, but this is not like it's new. It's just been more of an upstirring now because people are being more out, like crazy and like upset and boisterous and all that stuff. So I think that it's affecting people, which is good, right? So it makes them think like, yeah, what can I do? Because they don't know.
Right.
But it's okay to be uncomfortable. That's how, and ask questions. And there's just so many different things. So I'll stop there and we can like start a conversation because I could talk forever, but sorry.
Well, I can start with the first question.
Okay.
As a mother with minority kids, what are your fears like as they go, like say, I don't know what it's like if you let them leave the house or not right now, but if they have to go to the store, like what is your mindset behind that? Is there a fear or are you very comfortable with that? What's that like?
There's fear, right? It depends where you're going. So the rule is right now it's getting to be summer and it's kind of always been this way. You don't drive down in the city, especially at night, right? It's the way it is. It depends who you're with. You don't put your hood on. There's just so many different scenarios that we have had to cover, right? So if you're going up to Wegmans up the road, we're in the burbs, like, it's not that bad, but you still have to be cautious. You never know, and people are crazy and you know that. So you just have those conversations. But I will say, I pray way more. And I know God loves my kids more than I do, which is hard to fathom. But I have to trust that his plan's going to go through no matter what anyway, So that's kind of where I have to leave it because I am a little like nitpicky, but they'll miss me when I'm gone. That's why I always tell them.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So you said growing up, you weren't really exposed to racism and, there wasn't many black people in the area. So do you remember an instance that really opened your eyes that said like, whoa, this is really a problem in America?
So it's crazy. English class in college. First of all, okay, so two different things come to my mind right away. The beginning of the year, basketball teams gather. We had the men's team and the women's team. I'm in South Carolina. And this one big old guy from North Carolina starts talking to me. And I was like, was that English? Like, what did you just say? Like, what? So with slang and a Southern draw, I was like, what? And one of my teammates was like, that's my girl Sam. She's going to be all right. And so I knew there were differences. I didn't realize how much of a difference, right? Because I didn't know. I had never experienced it. It's crazy to think that, but it was so true. Second thing, not long after that, I was in the same English class or same class with the same girl that, I felt good because she called me her girl. I didn't really think about like her like looking out after me, but I think she really like knew my heart wasn't like, I just wanted to not fit in because I don't really care about that, but they're my teammates. You know what I mean? Like we're in this together. So that's kind of where I came from. So our manager was giving a speech or a presentation and she used like crazy like verbiage and was like the cracker, this and that and the other. And I was like, and Chris, so my teammate came out and was like, I can't believe she said that. Like, oh my gosh, that was so like crazy. She went off. I had no idea that I was the cracker, right? Like, I was like, what? She was like, girl, you're the cracker. And so I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, so like just not knowing. And that was the start of my, I don't want to say understanding, but like my wanting to learn more. And I think because I was around more people, it taught me, like I learned how to play spades. They didn't want to be my partner because I wasn't very good at the time, but I got better. In Michigan, we played euchre. So I'm like, it's like euchre. They're like, no, it's not.
Oh, that's funny.
I got a question. Right? Okay, so you said you live in the suburbs. So living in the suburbs and with all this protesting and looting and rioting, do you feel as if you or your family is getting looked at differently being Black?
It's kind of crazy. Where I live, I don't know. I felt no to that question because of, I swear, like we live in a circle and we live on International Drive. You know, we have like
Yeah.
Indian and Black people around us. It's the craziest thing for where we live that we actually like. I'm like, we're on like International Drive over here. Like, so not specifically to here, but even for me today, driving right up, you know, Sheridan, I saw a lot of people walking, and I noticed and was conscious about, oh my gosh, that Black kid's by himself, or that couple is by themselves. Like I was not more aware because I always notice people, but my thought like went on after that, like, man, I hope they're okay, or I hope no one bothers them, you know, because people are just, I've been watching a lot of news. So I think that, no, not really here, but I'm sure if I didn't live on International Drive, I don't know. We have a lot of different people walking around here. So
Yeah.
Maybe in a different suburb or division.
Yeah. So the question I have for you too. So I feel like, you know, even discussions in our own house when our family's all talking about different things that go on, you know, oftentimes, you know, my mom will say something and you know, she's not racist by any means. She married a Black man, you know, and but she'll say things, and at times it's almost like she gets the same response of like, well, you don't know what it's like to be Black. And so you know, and I sat back one time, I'm like, man, it's kind of like your opinion just gets thrown out the window just because you're not Black. And you still, you know, I think when they were a couple going, I remember the time we were really young, we went somewhere down south, and it was, I think we stopped in Tennessee at a restaurant called Shoney's, and the waitress was really like, she made it known she didn't approve of them being an interracial couple. So it's not like my mom just gets like, oh, you're just a white lady, and oh, it's you, her husband is Black, or she gets the treatment of it too. So it's like, number one, have you ever experienced things like that? And then two, what is your reaction to people that kind of discredit the opinion of people who are not colored?
Of course. It used to be a joke. Like we'd be in a restaurant and I'd be like, 2:00, we got some lookers. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like you just take it, you know what I mean? But like if they would ever learn who you were, and you actually feel bad for them people, right? Because they don't know, and they form an opinion because of what I look like or what my husband looks like or the fact that we're together, you know what I mean? So and then funny, we always had little kids with us, like cousins, and I'm talking about yellow, dark, nappy head, long hair, like so funny. So I'm not joking, like 8 deep sometime, and the youngest one was dark. So we had my kids, some older cousins, middle, and then the youngest little girl was dark. And her head was a mess, right? So I wanted to have a shirt debate, like, I did not do this. And everyone would look like, oh my gosh. So like we would be like, oh, he had kids, then they got together, and then he had another kid after, and she's still with him, you know, and people just, that's how people are. So like it was what it was. I guess we were confident. We knew that it was society, right? But we definitely have but in the another sentence, then in the same thought, we had people come up to us when we would have our kids out, and they would say, thank you guys, like your kids are so well behaved, and you know, you don't really have a choice if you're in my house, if you're going to not be well behaved or not. Like, you could decide to be good and not get a consequence, or you could pay the price. So that's kind of how it worked with us. But people saw that too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then the second question, I think, to talk about kind of having my opinion disregarded. I don't understand what it is to be Black. I can see reactions to people, but when my husband goes by himself and had to grow up and is in a professional career and has to go, I can hear the stuff, but I don't have to live it in his shoes. I just have to try to help him, right? So I don't ever try to say, and you know, everybody makes fun of me when I make an opinion, or what did I say today? Oh, I bought these bird feeders. Like, everything's a joke. It has to be, right? So my husband calls me a racist all the time, but he always said, I can't believe I married a white person. And I'm like, dude, like, you're stuck with me. He's like, you tricked me. It was a setup, you know? And so, but that's how we like work, you know, you have to do that.
Yeah.
And so, like, and then you always, so I don't know who it was, somebody's dating a girl from the country. I heard a little bit of your thing. Like, my grandparents were Amish before they got married. So I don't know who it was because I wasn't watching. I was doing dishes while I was listening to some of your
You
things.
doing your research.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's why I asked the question in the beginning.
Started laughing. Pardon?
You know, Ben's on the market for a blonde hair.
Whoa. My door is shut.
Anybody who's watching, go follow the guy.
My door
Oh, that's so funny. But like, so they always joke about stuff, right? And I think that so even my kids are like, oh yeah, we know, Mom, like how you feel, and I'm like, whatever, like we're all in this together, you know, whatever. But like, to the joking part, like, because everything's going on and we've been watching more news than I'm a news watcher. My kids aren't really, but it's been on a lot, and so it just leads to more conversation, right? I don't know. It comes down to like how we are perceived and how we then deal with it, you know? And I think you have to, like, I get mad. I've had many people, like, I remember specifically one of my dear friends, and I love her to death. She'd do anything for anybody. And I said something about people around here, and this is a very segregated city. Like, it's really sad. And I said, oh my gosh, this is like the craziest segregated city ever. And she grew up here, and she was like, really, you think so? And I was like, but she doesn't have to live it, you know? And so my issue with that is you don't try to be a part, right? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with, and I love everybody, like, you know, but you don't try to put yourself in, like, I heard Al Roker today say, you know, so many parties that I go to, they're so segregated, except the ones that my wife and I throw. And I think about that, like, so many of my friends, that's how it is. Like, all the people that they hang around, it's either the white people or the Black people. And it makes me sad. You know what I mean? Because the differences are beautiful. And if you would take time to learn about it and put yourself into an uncomfortable position, maybe, then things would, I think, change. But we also have to, like, I feel like we have to see people for who they are, but it's about their heart. You know what I mean? Like, people might say the wrong thing, but it's okay to correct them. Like, I've had many family members say stuff, and I'm like, dude, you can't say that. And I explained to them why. Like, you can't assume a group of people do the same thing and you call them all one. Like, no, that Black person right there, that's what they did. These are not all the Black people. You know what I mean? So don't say that, you know? And so I probably am a little more hypersensitive to that because I feel like people don't understand and I kind of tend to say stuff when I think it, so it sometimes might get me into trouble, but I feel like that's another reason why I'm in this position. You know, like, I had a grandma who, I'm not joking, we had a great relationship. I grew up going to her house every day. My dad's mom, she wrote me a letter, and this was not the Amish side. This was, but she wrote me a letter. She wrote me a letter before I got married and said she was afraid for my life.
Wow.
She was afraid I was going to get shot. Now, I grew up in a town that did not have a gas station or a high school. We didn't have we had a corner store.
Great.
So my dad thinks like we live in the big city, right? But to her defense, even though it was not okay, she watched the news and she grew up in Chicago. So she died 2 years ago at the age of 99. You know, so she has seen a lot and formed her opinion, and we all have biases, right? Like, but it's when people are like, I'm not a racist, I have like 5 black friends and my best friend had a friend who was black, and I'm like, dude, stop saying crap like that. Like, I don't care. You don't get a cookie. Like, it doesn't qualify you. You know what I mean? Like, so I just always come back to really trying to, and this is, I still have to do this, you know, and really be intentional about seeing people where they are and really praying for them. Honestly, you know, I judge people often when they are judgmental or say something stupid that I think is stupid. You know what I mean? And so I'm grateful for the position that I'm in, because I feel like I can help people in certain ways to understand better.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you kind of hit it on the head when you were talking about, you know, you call things out when you see them and when you hear things that are off color and shouldn't be said, because I think that honestly is the most difficult thing for people to do, especially when it comes from somebody that you respect or, you know, that is a family member. And I think, you know, even recently I've had discussions with people where it's like that's the biggest way where I've had to, you know, stop while I'm at work and just say, hey, we're not going to do that. And now maybe for the rest of the day it's kind of awkward, you know, between you and that person. But going forward, it's like, I know I did the right thing, and hopefully they're going to start to change their opinions on it. So I think, you know, my question would be, if you could give one piece of advice to, you know, white people that, like you were, just don't know any better or have never experienced any, you know, multiracial settings or anything like that, what would be the one piece of advice that you could give to them?
I think you have to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. Like, I think you have to ask questions. I think that you need to, everybody knows somebody black, and if you don't, you better ask somebody. But you need to educate yourself in different things, right? Like, when we still celebrate Columbus, nothing makes me more mad. You know what I mean? And my husband is like a history, like, crazy. And so, like, it's a thing that's on our TV, not the History Channel, but he's got on some calling me like, Samantha, you see what's happening here, what your people did here? And I'm like, dude, stop. But it's true, and he doesn't say it, you know, maliciously, like, but that, like I said at the beginning, we joke about stuff because it's the reality of the situation, and we're in this life, but we know better, so we have to do better, right? So if I can help somebody, and it's crazy because I had a mom who I had met at the gym like a few years ago, and she saw me at Target. She didn't say anything, and I couldn't think of her name, so I wasn't sure if it was her because everyone's making these crazy masks. I can't tell who anyone is, and I usually talk to everybody. So she messaged me through Instagram or Facebook. So she messaged me and was like, I'm so sorry for all this stuff that has been going on. My daughters think that your kids are great. You guys have done a great job with raising your kids in this kind of atmosphere and stuff. I would really like to get coffee with you so maybe I could better understand, because my heart is just broken. And I'm like, wow, I would love to do that. You know what I mean? So it's about stuff like that, because her heart is in the right place. She just doesn't get it because she hasn't had to live it. You know what I mean? And so I think it's about not placing judgment, but at the same time, you have to take responsibility, because you can figure it out easier now today. You know what I mean? It's right in front of your face. So how you react to certain things is going to determine how people will react to you then, or place a judgment on you. And I don't want to be that white person that, I might not always say the right thing, but my heart is not in a hurtful, like, derogatory way. Like, I don't understand how you could be mean like that to somebody. That hurts my feeling. I don't care who it is, Right. And we're called to love everybody. So that's crazy to me. And that's hard for me to understand too.
I got a question real quick. I heard you talk about how you guys laugh a lot. And the other day we were talking in my family about how sometimes, especially what's going on in the world today with the coronavirus, and then with all the rioting now, how oftentimes we feel like, at least for me and Isaiah, we've been talking with our family, that sometimes it feels like there's no time to laugh right now because it's so serious what's happening in the world. But how important is that for you to incorporate that laughter into your house and keep that going?
I mean, I think it's how we survive. It really is. Like, I don't know. That's how I enjoy being happy. I'm a happy person. Like, I feel like naturally, and I feel like if you can share that happiness with someone else, just like everybody said, a smile goes a long way. Now you can't see my smile because I have a stupid mask on, but like, you still can use your eyes. Like, how you doing? I still talk through my mask, but I feel like in our house, definitely, because everyone, you have to stay home, or you can't go here, you can't go there, and you have to be cautious. And I'm constantly with my kids, like, wear your mask, don't forget your mask, like, and while, I don't think, this is an opinion, but is the mask necessary for everything? It doesn't matter what you think. I think that you're being respectful of other people. So like, the laughter part, I just feel like is a part of us. Yeah. And I think it's important, because I feel like if you start thinking totally about all the stuff that's bad that's happening, you go down that path too easily. And so there's too much good that's still there that you have to make better. And I think one person at a time, and it's our job to see the positive and keep moving forward in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, is there anything else that you guys are thinking question-wise, or we'll have to
not a question, but I just have like a comment. Like, all right, so like, Mrs. Hutchins, that I attended Christian Central Academy, and primarily a white school, and like, I just like agree with what you're saying with like how people, it's like good to ask questions and stuff. Like, just recently today, like a couple of my friends from school or from high school like texted me and was like, hey, how you doing with this? Like, I just want to apologize for like a comment they made like months ago, and I'm just like, oh, well, like, I appreciate that. Like, I'm happy that you just did that. And like, it's just like good to see people who like actually care and like have a good heart towards this whole situation.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, Ben, I coach there, that, right? So like, we used to have conversations. Like, it used to be part of our practice was our team talks, and I used to always say, don't give me the Bible answer, don't give me the right answer, the Sunday school answer, right? Give me real. Like, how are you ever going to learn if you don't give me something that you have a question about? Or don't give me, like, I know Jesus loves you. I know Jesus loves him. I know all the right answers. I went to Sunday school. You know what I mean? But let's be real, break it down, be wrong or be okay to have a different opinion, right? But like it's something that's how you learn, right? And not be mad at someone who has a different opinion. Sometimes that's hard for me, fighter, right? But I used to always say, you're in a bubble. You got to step out in order to learn. And I would always invite them to church because my church was not like the other church that they went to. And you could have picked any one of their churches. They didn't go to all the same church, but I can tell you it was the kind of church that I grew up in. And the one that I go to now is not. Just to see a difference. You don't have to attend it, right? But just to see a difference so you can start to learn and understand, right? Yeah. And some of them, you know, have stepped out and seen other people for who they were and tried to learn about it, and some haven't, and that's okay. I'm not saying their heart's not right, but I wish that more people would do that willingly to learn so we could be more cohesive, you know, and not so like questioning all the time, you know what I mean? Like I hate thinking like, are they for real? You know what I mean? Like they said that, but I just don't have that kind of yeah, maybe, you know.
Yeah.
So that's real.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So we just want to thank you for giving us some of your time, you know, and providing some insight that we obviously have no idea what it's like being in your shoes, just like, you know, you struggle to be knowing what other people feel like. And so we thank you for, you know, the knowledge and the gems that you dropped. I know the four of us are going to, you know, edit it up and go back and watch these over and over before we, you know, put it out. But I think, you know, we've all learned from it. I think we're just continuing growing and learning every day. But on behalf of the Whittingham boys, we just wanted to thank you for spending some time with us and honest and real.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. It was awesome. Keep doing what you're doing.
All right, everybody. That wraps it up for this week's episode of Whitt Talks. As always, we appreciate you guys tuning in.
Don't forget to drop a comment and hit that like button.
Also, hit that subscribe button and share with your friends.
And follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Everyone have a blessed day.
Whitt boys.